Israel retaliates, airstrikes light up Gaza after Hamas launched a surprise all-out assault on a major Jewish holiday. Tensions flare here in Australia. A pro-Palestine rally sparks fury in Sydney's southwest, as Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe calls the Hamas attack abhorrent, joining the chorus of condemnation from other political leaders. Also tonight, a police officer accused of causing a fatal crash fronts court in Hobart. 2 people killed after their plane hits power lines and crashes into the ground north of Adelaide. And the Yes campaign struggles. New polling suggests support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament is slipping.
Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Millar begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The world is on edge as we go to air, with Israel unleashing missile attacks on Hamas targets in Gaza, following yesterday's surprise ambush by Hamas. At least 700 people have been killed and more than 2,000 injured on the Israeli side, with 400 people killed in the retaliatory attacks. Our coverage begins with Hugh Whitfeld inside Israel.
From the moment the first Hamas rocket was fired over its border at the weekend, Israel's revenge was always going to be calculated and catastrophic. And while it continues to bomb key Hamas headquarters and tunnels in Gaza, its full force is coming.
We need to kill all the guys of Hamas, the terrorism of Hamas.
And the Jewish state is motivated like never before. More than 1,000 of its citizens have been slaughtered or kidnapped, and its government has been humiliated.
Israel is preparing for every instance, including a ground invasion, air invasion, everything.
Panic and fear is everywhere, but overwhelmingly the sense here is of vengeance and justice.
Because this city and all Israel now in attack, in war.
In street after street, Israeli forces are now hunting down Hamas militants one by one. Some still rest where they died, but columns of tanks are massing on the Gaza border, signalling a far more deadly retaliation. At the same time, Israeli rescue crews dig through the ruins with their bare hands if needed, searching for signs of life. The cleanup underway here in central Tel Aviv as well. The Hamas rockets didn't just hit communities close to Gaza. This is normally a buzzing nightlife district, but here a row of businesses has been hit. Details of the initial Hamas strike are breathtaking in scale and secrecy. According to multiple intelligence sources, it came in 4 parts. First, 3,500 rockets were designed to destroy and disorientate Israel. Then paragliders and motorbikes knocked out crucial communications. Bulldozers followed, carving a path for elite commando squads in 4-wheel drives to storm the fortified cement walls that separate Gaza from the Israeli territories. Its execution was flawless. And just like 9/11, it somehow went undetected by the most sophisticated intelligence mankind has ever known. The plan, so top secret, even some of the most senior Hamas leaders were kept in the dark to avoid leaks.
They were just all around me, and they were going 3 by 3 and shooting. People were dying, like, all around.
A complication to this war, the hostages. Hamas has strategically kidnapped scores of people, women and children, to use as human shields or bargaining chips, if they're allowed to live at all.
I don't even want to imagine what they're doing to her.
This image of 23-year-old Noah Agamani and her boyfriend being abducted has horrified her best friend.
Can't get it out of my head. She's screaming, "Don't kill me." Terrible, terrible. Last time I see her, she was happy, and now that video, it's crazy.
Like millions of others around the world, her dad watched it on TV.
Please don't hurt her. Please. This is a cry from a father. Don't harm her. Send her back in one piece. I beg you. Please.
This man saw his wife and children on TV too being loaded into a ute just after he spoke to them on the phone.
The last thing she said to me was that there are terrorists in the house.
Many helpless parents listened as their children were being rounded up, especially at this desert music festival where hundreds of bodies now lie in the sand.
She was talking to me and saying, "Mommy, help us, we don't know what to do," and I'm on the phone with her.
Her daughter, 23-year-old Romy, hasn't been heard from since. American Hirsch Goldberg messaged his parents, "I love you, I'm sorry," and went silent. Only a handful of hostages have been found and freed so far. This man and children are dressed only in their underwear, rescued by Israeli police after a ferocious gun battle. America has now moved an aircraft carrier strike group, the Gerald R. Ford, into the Mediterranean. With it, 4 destroyers supporting cruisers and the most lethal air power in the US military, the F-35s. So far, Washington has expressed its unflinching support of Israel, but fallen short of committing its military. Either way, there is a sense here that this war that's rooted in generations of bitter hatred and bloodshed is only just getting started, on a scale that will shock even this part of the world. In Israel, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
And Hugh joins us from the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. Hugh, is the Israeli counterattack having the devastating effect that they want?
Kim, Israel's Defence Force says it is still actively fighting Hamas gunmen in Israeli territory in what it says are around 7 or 8 locations close to the Gaza Strip border, as it also seeks to target more than 1,000 locations in the Gaza Strip, hoping to both quash Hamas's fighting ability and at the same time seek revenge as well. More than 100,000 people are said to have been displaced by Israel's operation in Gaza so far. It is home to more than 2 million people. There are very few places to seek refuge. And of course, adding to the complications, the use of Israeli hostages as effective human shields by Hamas, as the Jewish state seeks to mount a huge number of tanks and military equipment along its border with Gaza, preparing to mount what will likely be a bloody ground invasion. Kim.
Going to build up. Thank you very much there, Hugh. Well, the Pentagon is sending ships and aircraft to the Middle East as a sign of America's unwavering support for Israel. US President Joe Biden says he's in constant communication with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and will help Israel to restock its munitions so it can defend itself. Here's US correspondent Tim Lester in Washington.
The White House here today responding to the scenes of carnage from Israel. President Biden phoning Prime Minister Netanyahu, their second phone conversation in the 2 days since the Hamas attack occurred. And this time the White House pledging military support, munitions and the like for Israeli forces as they try to root out Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip. But as well, a symbolic show of military support. The President and the Defence Secretary sending a US aircraft carrier-led strike force to the eastern Mediterranean off Israel.
The focus now has to be on making sure that Israel has what it needs to deal with this attack and to make sure that its citizens are safe and secure.
As well, flags over the Capitol building near here lowered to half-mast today as a sign of respect for the suffering the Israeli people are going through. This as the Biden administration worries about whether its efforts to bring on a new peace deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia might have been set back or even lost altogether by this attack carried out by Hamas militants.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Well, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has condemned the unprecedented assault on Israel as the government warns Australians not to travel to the region. While back here in Australia, police kept an eye on rallies in support of Palestine.
Reactions worldwide to the horrors in Israel have been varied, but few have been like this in Western Sydney. Fireworks in Greenacre, in Lakemba, a rally of Palestinian support.
I'm smiling and I'm happy.
Police watching nearby as the crowds joined in.
It's a night of pride! It's a night of victory!
Scenes that were swiftly condemned.
It's truly devastating and sickening to see such inhumanity in our midst.
The Prime Minister worried about the rise of anti-Semitism.
There's no victory here. There's no victory with the slaughter of innocent people.
We need to condemn without reservation the actions.
But security experts say there is no current Hamas risk in Australia.
There's no chance of that happening here. There's no Hamas operatives and no Hamas militant cells in Australia.
Few know more about the terror Hamas has brought than the Australians on the ground in Israel.
It's really, really terrifying.
Among them, Australian TV star Hugh Sheridan.
I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear bombs going off in the background. The fights are happening just about 40 kilometres that way, but every now and then they come over here.
Speaking exclusively with 7 News, Sheridan revealed he was at a pre-party for the rave where 260 young Israelis and visitors were gunned down. He turned down a ticket to go.
Thinking about all the beautiful people that I met and that their day went from going to work to going to war.
He now fears that those he met were caught up in the Hamas slaughter.
There were Australians at that party. There was people from all over the world, and they were all going to that.
The 38-year-old actor said the real horror didn't hit him until he was in the hotel bomb shelter.
It was more when I was bunkered down and watching other people crying and people screaming and seeing the fear in other people.
Feelings echoed by other Australians on the ground. Sydney's Arsen Ostrovsky clinging to his kids underground.
She looked at me with those sort of puppy eyes a 6-year-old does and said, Dad, why do they hate us?
Melbourne mum Emily Jian trying to comfort her 3.
My family, everybody I've spoken to said this was literally the darkest day in Israeli history.
Brisbane's Gabrielle Brenner, a reservist, also running for cover.
We have a minute and a half to reach the bomb shelter, so we locked ourselves inside, and I was kind of dizzy with panic and adrenaline from being woken up like that.
Sydney's Justin Hook.
The jets are going over now. It's nerve-wracking.
Philip Chester's son, a new dad, called up for military service.
He's doing his duty. We're very proud of him for that, but it must have been a very, very difficult moment when he kissed his kids and his wife goodbye.
Also instantly enlisted, the husband of Sydney's, Hayley Alpin. This photo saying goodbye to his brand new baby girl.
It's pretty hard. He left this morning and said goodbye to our 8-week-old daughter. And it's also his 30th birthday, so not the best present for him.
Foreign Affairs says there are no reports of any Australians killed or injured, but many there desperate to get out.
Have you arrived? You're in the airport?
Maya Chester has 2 kids there on holidays.
Okay.
I'm excited to go somewhere that's safe.
It's just, I don't have the words. I don't know what to think. I just want my children to come home.
They will return with memories they'll never erase.
It was like September 11 kept happening over and over and over again.
But at least lucky to have escaped unharmed when so many were not.
That feeling on that day, the change, was just like, I'll never forget that.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Political editor Mark Riley is in Canberra. Mark, is there any update on possible Australian casualties?
Well, Kim, Foreign Affairs officials are working around the clock to determine if any Australians have been caught up in the conflict, but the news so far is good. No confirmed Australian casualties tonight. Information, though, remains sketchy. I'm told Australia's travel advice is being reviewed tonight to possibly advise against all but essential travel to Israel while this conflict continues. Now, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese spoke on 7 Sunrise this morning.
Hamas bears responsibility for what has occurred here. Israel, of course, has a right to defend itself, and it will.
Now, Israel hasn't asked Australia for any military support, just political support, and Anthony Albanese is expected to speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the next couple of days to personally relay Australia's backing, something Foreign Minister Penny Wong did overnight, speaking with her Israeli counterpart Eli Cohen. And tonight, Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles will join a pro-Israel event at an Orthodox synagogue, while here in Canberra tonight, Parliament House will be lit up in the Israeli colours of blue and white as a symbol of solidarity. Kim?
Hey, thank you, Mark Riley there from Canberra. Well, Tasmanian Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe has joined other leaders in denouncing the Hamas attacks on Israeli civilians, labelling the acts of violence against them as deeply disturbing, adding the state government recognises Israel's right to defend itself against the attacks. He has passed on his deepest condolences to those affected on behalf of all Tasmanians. Well, let's turn to the day's other news now. And a former Tasmanian police officer accused of causing a fatal crash near Penna last year has fronted court. The judge hearing Cassandra Richardson was driving home after a 10-hour shift at Bellerive Police Station when the tragedy occurred.
Piling into Hobart's Magistrates Court 17 months after a heartbreaking car crash which claimed the lives of 51-year-old Teresa Brown and her 16-year-old son Jim. Former Tasmania Police Constable Cassandra Richardson has entered pleas of not guilty to several charges, including causing death by negligent driving and driving while disqualified. Witnesses said that Ms Richardson had veered her black ute left into the gravel and then right over Brinktop Road's centre line. The court heard it was this erratic driving that forced others to take evasive and fatal action. Witness Jacqueline McGarry was driving behind Constable Richardson and said when the black ute veered to the right, the Browns' red Daewoo came round. It just sort of appeared and took actions to avoid the black ute. Another witness, Helen Paramore, said she saw Teresa Brown's Daewoo losing control in her direction, saying it ended up straight in front of me and T-boned me. Though not a part of the collision, witnesses said Richardson stopped her car, running over to McGarry, grabbing her arm and saying, "Oh my God, I've killed them," allegedly adding she was stressed and tired and had fallen asleep while she was driving. Benjamin Paramore told the court that Ms Richardson was yelling out that she had killed 2 people. He said he overheard her say that it was her fault when she was on the phone to someone. The hearing will continue tomorrow, but it will be a while before Cassandra Richardson learns her fate, with 20 witnesses lined up for cross-examination. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
An inquest into the deaths of 4 Targa competitors who were killed in 2 separate events is due to start in the middle of next year. Targa and Motorsports Australia, as well as Tasmania Police, were present at a case management hearing at the Magistrates Court in Hobart today, each expressing their condolences to the families impacted. Driver error, loss of control, car suspension and stage design are believed to be commonalities in each crash. Support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament has fallen to new lows as Australians prepare to cast their votes on Saturday. The latest news poll shows only a third intend to vote yes, while a live 7 News Spotlight survey suggests it's less than a quarter.
Sydney's Redfern community, used to battles.
We had to rebuild ourselves. This is the block. The block was infamous.
In this fight for constitutional change, the yes side also up against it.
I am full of hope. We know that we are the underdog.
It was the referendum that was supposed to unite Australians.
The divide clear on last night's Spotlight.
There is no hidden agenda. It's about recognising the first Australians.
$364 million of taxpayer money on a referendum no one wants.
By program's end, 72% of viewers said they'll vote no, just 23% yes, 5% undecided.
The yes side are very good at being politicians. I thought the no side were more genuine.
And from the politician who gave us the referendum...
Is it all over for the yes campaign?
Not at all.
It's permanent, it's divisive, and it's not properly understood.
Doubt Voice supporters say they can still turn around.
We know that about a quarter of the population haven't made their mind up on this.
that is exactly where this campaign will be focused in the next 5 days.
Campaigns against the Voice and for it have until Wednesday midnight, when a referendum blackout applies on all broadcast advertising, before voters decide no or yes. Chris Marr, 7 News.
On the cusp of the referendum vote, the federal opposition leader has made a brief visit to Tasmania, touring a dairy research facility on the northwest coast. Peter Dutton impressed by the national first farmlet trials underway at one of our leading Tasmanian dairy research centres.
The work that they're doing here is making a tangible, positive difference in the lives of farmers, and I think the reality is that we need to make sure that it's properly funded.
The cost of doing business for a farmer is increasing. It's increasing to the point that they're having trouble returning back to their bottom line.
The opposition leader also using the site inspection as another chance to push the no vote ahead of this weekend's decision. We'll have more news when we return, including State Labor claiming red tape is bogging down the construction of affordable housing. Federal Police foil a plot to import 100 kilos of cocaine destined for Australian streets. And Centrelink services hampered as thousands of public servants walk off the job.
Can't wait to be a dad. You're going to be a great mum.
For him, it's a beginning. For her, it's the beginning of a lie.
I don't think I've ever seen you this happy. Please tell me you're not doing what I think you're doing.
Home and Away, this week.
Say g'day to Maxie the Mate Musterer Harrigan. He makes Spring Carnival look easy by wrangling this rabble. And they're off. Don't worry, this isn't his first race day rodeo. When they split wide, Maxie brings these wandering wagerers back into the pack, steering them clear of trackside trouble. Oh, sorry, Matty, don't mind him.
Well, there's some interference up here, Mr. Brightside.
This quaddie cowboy leads our punters to greener pastures and gets them together to use Sportsbet's Bet with Mates, the easiest way to have a punt with your mates. Make spring look easy with Sportsbet.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Set the mood for sunnier days. Beacon's new collection is here with 30% off your second light or fan. Bring home summer style and save 30% on your second. Sail on now.
Movement that inspires.
The price of gold is still high, so no matter if your jewellery collection looks like this or this, see Cash Converters and get great service and amazing prices on your gold jewellery now. Cash Converters, Moona and Rosny.
Set the mood for sunnier days. Beacon's new collection is here with 30% off your second light or fan. Bring home summer style and save 30% on your second. Sail on now.
Style now and pay later at Amart. Shop a huge range of furniture and get 60 months interest-free with Latitude when you spend over $990. Available in-store and online at Amart.
At Ability Hearing and Balance, we offer earwax microsuction at all our suburban clinics, so you can have your ears cleaned and your hearing aid adjusted in one convenient appointment. Call Ability Hearing and Balance on 1300 EarPro.
This is great.
Be summer ready. Get free polarized lenses in your second pair. Save $100. Should have gone to Specsavers. Limits time only. Conditions apply.
Island Block and Paving's 30th birthday sale up to 50% off. Building blocks, retaining walls, pavers and artificial grass. View the huge birthday sale at islandblock.com.au. Island Block and Paving. No one knows bricks, blocks and pavers better.
It's not the colour of your skin that matters, but the content of your character. Don't divide Australia with racial laws. Vote no to The Voice.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for Mineralogy Proprietary Limited, Brisbane.
He's got a cat on his lap.
You've never seen a pursuit like this.
It could have been catastrophic.
Aussie Highway Patrol, Thursday.
The Greens have labelled the draft terms of reference for the inquiry into child sexual abuse allegations regarding Paul Reynolds as inadequate, while Police Minister Felix Ellis says prosecutions may be needed, adding compelling evidence from witnesses isn't the best way to achieve the desired outcome.
We believe in making sure that the independent reviewer has broad scope, broad powers and is able to deliver the best outcome for the Tasmanian people.
The independent review is being conducted by barrister Regina Weiss. State Labor is confident it's cracked the code when it comes to getting new housing developments underway across Tasmania. It says sharing the headworks bill is the way to go, but the state government remains confident its housing achievements are something to be proud of.
For Bob Gordon, building just 2 homes in Bridgewater also meant footing the bill for a rising sewerage main worth $60,000.
Even though it should have been shared amongst all of the blocks of land in the proposed development, we had to pay the lot.
It's a problem seen all too often, according to the opposition, at a time where additional housing is more essential than ever, with 4,600 families on the social housing waitlist.
We've seen many instances like this across the state where the first mover is penalised because they're building homes. We need to remove that.
Its solution to make the cost of connecting power, water and sewerage a shared one between all those developing on the site, not just the first.
The developers would still need to pay the cost of connecting power, water and sewage, but they'd pay that cost at a proportion relevant to the proportion of the development that they are contributing.
Removing the incentive for developers to wait for another party to buy up land first.
For major developers that are doing 400 or 500 blocks, I think they all play a game of chicken, seeing who's going to start first.
But the state government has hit back, saying under its governance, records have been set regarding land release and new homes being built, adding it's always prepared to work with developers.
Our government have now in place a program to bring forward more residential land release and rebates available for developers to assist them with headworks charges.
Whatever the solution, housing affordability isn't an isolated problem, with 570,000 people currently calling our state home. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Overseas, and the search for survivors continues in Afghanistan, with more than 2,000 people confirmed dead following a string of earthquakes in the country's northwest. Residents in the Herat province, near one of the country's largest cities, were forced to dig through debris with their hands, hoping to find any survivors. The 6.3 magnitude quake and its aftershocks have been described as a crisis on top of another crisis, with the region already facing food shortages and women and children now forced to sleep on rubble with little to no possessions. West Maui has begun reopening to tourists 2 months after deadly wildfires ripped through the region. A Hawaiian state order discouraging travel has now been lifted, upsetting some locals who signed a petition to delay the reopening. Others are keen to move on.
We need to survive. It's the only way. Hawaii or the island is live by tourism.
Businesses remain closed, with thousands of people out of work, many living in temporary housing. A father and his son have died after a devastating light plane crash in South Australia's mid-north. Their Cessna hit power lines and slammed into a paddock before bursting into flames yesterday afternoon. The passenger, 24-year-old Charlie Mumford, died at the scene. His father, 50-year-old Ben Mumford, who was flying the plane, was airlifted to Adelaide but died overnight. Another of his sons was among the first on scene and suffered burns trying to pull his dad and brother from the wreckage. Well, millions of Australians were told to avoid Centrelink today as workers went on a 24-hour strike. But most service centres managed to keep the doors open and nobody missed out on payday.
Bracing for the worst.
I was a bit worried coming over here, thought, no one was going to be here.
But pleasantly surprised.
Less than 5 minutes later, a person came out
Bob's your uncle.
As staff from Services Australia walked off the job over a pay dispute.
They're feeling cost of living pressures now.
Millions of Centrelink customers asked to delay visiting or calling today to ease pressure on the system.
It now takes almost 30 minutes to get an answer when you call Services Australia.
Services Australia told 7 News less than 3,000 of its 26,000 staff took part in the strike.
Only 3 small offices were closed. Most importantly, people that were due to be paid today were paid.
The union claims the latest offer of an 11.2% pay rise over 3 years isn't good enough, and so negotiations will continue.
This is a very clear and simple message that the government has to do better on pay.
A message designed to cause disruption, but may have actually cleared the way.
Got in half an hour, so, which is pretty all right.
Amy Clements, 7 News.
2 Qantas baggage handlers are behind bars tonight after a police sting uncovered 100 kilos of cocaine passing through Sydney Airport. The men are accused of driving the drugs to a runway gate where they were secreted out of the airport by a waiting van.
Unloading baggage, police say these Qantas handlers were also waiting for cargo of their own. 100 kilograms of cocaine they'd helped to bring to Australia.
Should it have reached the streets, it would have yielded the value of around 40 million Australian dollars.
The shipment touched down on Saturday aboard flight QF64 from Johannesburg. Federal police say Darren Bragg and Michael McPherson towed the drugs to a gate as Ziad El Mustafa drove a van alongside them. When all 3 piled into the vehicle, officers swooped.
The organisation required to arrange this type of importation could only have been undertaken by an organised crime group with significant reach in Australia and overseas.
They allege those connections came from Ahmed Halcha, who was arrested later at Rushcutters Bay. A 5th man was also taken into custody for his role in planning.
When contacted by 7 News, Qantas declined to comment on the arrest of 2 of its baggage handlers. Those men are now before the courts and facing a maximum penalty of life behind bars.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Sport is on its way, and joining us for the first time is Nick Kelly. Nick, welcome to the 7 Tasmania Nightly News team. Now, what's in sport tonight?
Thanks for the warm welcome, Kim, and what a great big day in sport to get me to hit the ground running. We have details from the first official day of the AFL trade period. Heartbreak for the Aussies in the Cricket World Cup opener, but why won't they be changing their game plan? And hopes dashed in the Rugby World Cup with no sign of the major miracle needed to keep the Wallabies campaign alive. I'll be back with all the day's news and sport a little bit later, Kim.
Okay, I'll look after the news. Thanks very much, Nick. We look forward to it. We'll take a break now. After that, we'll recap the day's news headlines. Then the boost to the water quality of a local Tasmanian estuary. And an investigation finds out why more expensive child car seats doesn't necessarily mean higher quality.
I'm Peter Bowl, 2-time Australian Olympian.
Accused of being a drug cheat, now cleared.
I'm running to clear my name.
I've got the Olympics next year.
Your Olympic gold will be our Olympic gold.
New SAS starts tonight, 7:30.
As a former Liberal minister, I know that Canberra politicians don't have all the answers. The Voice is a simple idea. It's about government listening to Indigenous people, and change starts with recognition.
Authorised by Dean Parkin Australians for Indigenous Constitutional Recognition Limited, Sydney.
Mine says the beach is this way.
Beat now or forever.
Think for yourself. For a real coffee kick, a Dare Fix will fix it.
On the corner of Murray and Warwick Streets, North Hobart, you'll find Stella Arden, an established award-winning beauty business with its newly renovated heritage shopfront to Discover a wonderful selection of homewares, gifts, plants, dried flower arrangements, skincare, makeup, clothes and shoes, to name a few. Browse and shop local for affordable, quality and sustainable goodies for either yourself or someone you love. StellaRarden.com.au, on the corner of Murray and Warwick Streets, North Hobart. It's where beauty meets lifestyle.
After 25 years, the Rug Studio is closing down. Their retirement clearance sale is on now, with all stock reduced by up to 50%. Hurry to Ubi's Lane Salamaker for the Rug Studio's final weeks and save up to 50% off all stock.
It's not the colour of your skin that matters, it's the content of your character. Don't divide Australia with racial laws. Vote no to The Voice.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for Mineralogy Proprietary Limited, Brisbane.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Cut through the blah to hear more of what you want.
Turn off your pie. No sharing.
Book an appointment with our audiology professionals today.
Elite Appliances. Experience a showroom like no other in Tasmania, showcasing the latest Australian and European appliances, design and technology. From the everyday to the truly unique, quality and affordability with brands you know and love. Experience the one location for all your kitchen, bathroom and laundry appliance needs. Convenience, inspiration, quality. Elite Appliances and Bathware.
Fish Frenzy on Hobart's picturesque waterfront. Experience the locals' favourite fish and chips, freshest salads and finest beverages. For over 20 years, Fish Frenzy have been using the finest produce to create Tassie's favourite fish and chips. So enjoy summer on the water and make Fish Frenzy your new local destination. Shop local, buy local, support local.
Brand new escapes in the brand new season.
Again, wow.
New Escape to the Country. Friday 8:30 on 7/2 and 7+.
These are some of the stories making headlines tonight. More than 1,000 killed and thousands more are injured as fighting continues in the Gaza Strip. As a pro-Palestine rally sparks fury in Sydney's southwest. New polling suggests support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament has fallen to new lows. And a father and son killed in a devastating light plane crash in South Australia's mid-north. The state government has signed an agreement with the Automotive Chamber of Commerce to strengthen Tasmania's industry. The plan will build capability in training, promote pathways and target career awareness programs.
We'll be delivering a better pathway to get more industry skilled and qualified teachers so that we can train the next generation.
There are 1,000 Tasmanians in training in the sector. The health of the Kanamaluka Tamar estuary has been given a boost thanks to a new piece of infrastructure. A 3-kilometre sewage and stormwater pipeline will travel 40 metres under the riverbed, connecting the Margaret Street pump station to the Tea Tree Bend treatment plant.
These new pipeworks will have the capacity to pump more than 900 litres per second. What this means is that TasWater are going to have a much greater ability to safely treat the sewerage system.
The government expects the works to finish late next year. Well, as we saw earlier, Australian actor Hugh Sheridan was in Israel when the attacks began and says he fears people he met are among those kidnapped. He wants Australians to hear his message that Israelis are just like us and don't deserve indiscriminate violence.
It was very, very confusing, I have to say. It came out of nowhere. The day before it happened, there was zero indication that that was going to happen. All of a sudden, everything changed, everything out of nowhere. It was the most unbelievable thing. I still can't find the words, and the only reason I want to talk to you is to let Australians know firsthand how much these people are like Australians. It just felt like I was in Sydney and suddenly there's people with guns on the beach. Australia needs to know now that it's not Israel's fault and that this is a terrorist attack. Killing people and stealing babies and that's a terrorist attack. People have been kidnapped. It's that we met, and it's real. And I just can't believe that this has happened to a country that seemed very much like home to me, and I think that's why I want to share this.
Okay, let's go to something much lighter now. And a New York man has taken an unexpected +1 to a wedding upstate. A rat hitching a ride in his car.
Holy hell. I just got to way upstate and I brought a rat with me.
The adventurous rodent surfaced around 3 hours into the drive while he was travelling about 70 kilometres an hour. The man pulled over and it scampered off. 2 police officers in LA have been fired for failing to respond to a call about an armed robbery because they were too busy playing Pokemon Go.
Are you watching a video or are you playing? No, I'm watching a video. Oh, okay. It's nice to have more Pokeballs and have the potion.
The officers were less than 200 metres away from the department store when it was held up. At one point, they even left their patrol car to chase a creature known as Snorlax. Independent safety ratings for child car seats reveal a higher price doesn't necessarily lead to a better score. But doubt has been raised about the system, with a child safety advocate saying parents need clearer information to make the right choice.
Keeping a child safe while travelling comes with plenty of choice.
It's a little bit confusing. It's hard to compare seats when you're looking at them to buy and even when you go into the shops.
You always believe that the higher costing one would be better.
The Child Restraint Evaluation Program independently tests car seats. In the newborn to 4-year-old category, 24 models were looked at, ranging from just under $200 to almost $800. A budget buy can offer some of the best protection. The Safe and Sound Safekeeper 2 costs less than $200 and is rated 4.3 out of 5. That's compared to the Maxi Cozy Vita Smart, priced at almost $450 and only rated a 3. But parents are being warned the ratings don't cover every model on the market and shouldn't be your only guide.
I think that they can worry people because they've bought a seat, they've paid a lot of money for it and suddenly it hasn't got a high rating. If your budget is small, then you can still buy a good quality car seat.
Every child restraint in Australia must meet strict safety standards. If it has the sticker, it's safe. It's what happens after you leave the store that really matters. KidSafe says 9 out of 10 restraints aren't being used or fitted properly. Another tip, regularly check the fit.
Your worst accident's going to be a rollover, so you want to make sure your children are really firmly in there.
As for buying a seat second hand,
it's just not worth taking the risk. You've got precious cargo in these seats.
Laura Dimmick, 7 News.
Danielle Laidley is embarking on a new mission to save lives. The former Kangaroos coach has opened up on her recent battle with depression and anxiety.
2 public figures, 1 goal, to save 100,000 lives, enough to fill every seat in the MCG.
Yeah, it's huge to be able to have someone you can reach out to, in your loneliest times.
Former North Melbourne coach Danielle Laidley has had a difficult 3 years, struggling with depression and anxiety.
I wish I had called Lifeline NAM when, I was going through that period. But I just didn't know what to do.
She and broadcast journalist Steve Pennells have teamed up to support Lifeline NAM, struggling to keep up with a growing number of calls.
This for me is very confronting because each one of these seats here represents a call currently that Lifeline NAM can't take.
Roughly 8 Australians die by suicide every day. That's twice the road toll. But for every call that Lifeline can answer, that's potentially another life saved.
The Save a Seat campaign is hoping to change that. For every $39 donated, another call can be answered.
The world is a better place with you in it, and that was a strong message that I got from people, because we want to save lives.
Christy Cooper, 7 News.
Now look at the day's business and finance news brought to you by Tasmania's own Bank of Us. The Australian stock market has closed higher, with energy being the best performing sector, followed by healthcare. The ASX 200 index was up 16 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 64 US cents and $1.07 New Zealand. Sport is next with Nick Kelly. Nick, what deals have been done to kick off the AFL trade period?
Oh, plenty of rumours are swirling, Kim, but not many handshakes so far. Full details are next. Also tonight, Australia bowled over in their World Cup opener. And the Tasmanian turning heads at the Swimming World Cup.
TV's greatest adrenaline rush is back, racing you to stunning new destinations and the most extreme challenges on Earth.
Eat all of it?
New The Amazing Race, Wednesday on 7 and 7+.
Imagination is more than meets the eye. Where you might see a car, we see the future. Or a power source, a mood, a second life, even a breath of fresh air. Imagine more than a car. Imagine a blueprint for tomorrow. All electric, Ioniq 6.
Consolidated Energy Tasmania. Improve energy efficiency and assist in reducing your power bills. We'll undertake a home health check and design a plan tailored to your property and budget. We specialise in the installation of split system air conditioners through to fully ducted systems. We also supply and install insulation to further assist in gaining energy efficiency. Consolidated Energy Tasmania, your local energy efficiency specialists.
U-Blinds Australia's spring sale is on now. Get 50% off shutters and security products, 40% off zip screens, curtains and all other products. Don't miss out.
U-Blinds Australia.
Bold is standing out, never blending in. It's unapologetically chunky and never thin. Bold is savoured, never swift. It's plentiful, rich, sensations ignite. Old Gold is bold in every bite.
It's bloom time! The Wynyard Tulip Festival is on Saturday, October 14th with a spectacular lineup of music and performances. Delight in the artistic, the eco-friendly and the buzz of free family fun. Choose from a street full of food vans and settle in the garden for a bite and brew. Tassie Greats Alaska Dry and Raccoon Dog hit the main stage in the evening with fireworks over the river at 9. Don't miss the Wynyard Tulip Festival, Saturday, October 14th.
We all want to help Indigenous Australians in disadvantaged communities, but this voice is not the answer. We don't know how it would work, and once it opens the door to activists, we don't know what comes next. What we do know is, once it's in the Constitution, it risks legal challenges, and it will permanently divide us. This voice is risky, divisive, and permanent. So if you don't know, vote no.
Authorised by P. Colson, Liberal Hobart.
I never thought my body would let me down. An autoimmune disorder took everything from me. Plasma donors helped me get it back.
Discover personalised comfort through Sleepy's Pocket Spring mattress. Designed to absorb motion transfer and minimise disruptions caused by your partner's movements, Pocket Springs ensure a tranquil sleep. Visit our experts at Sleepy's and reclaim your sleep now.
Tonight's sport is brought to you by MCMF, a Tasmanian mortgage fund that is creating a state of opportunity.
Melbourne has insisted it can keep Brodie Grundy. The AFL trade period is officially underway, with Collingwood promising to play hardball over their disgruntled vice-captain. Essendon is also set to be a major player, with the Bombers making 2 big moves on day one.
With one contracted star seeking a new home,
we don't need him to go, and if we can't get a deal done, we're more than comfortable for him to stay.
Melbourne wasn't about to lose another, even when off-field tensions had the Crows circling Clayton Oliver.
There's a lot of names that come across my desk in trade period, and you get excited, and there's a lot that don't want to dance with you, so you move on pretty quickly.
The D's in the spotlight after another straight sets finals exit. Stephen May letting rip at the new premiers on the weekend.
We should have smoked them, and
to sit there on grand final day and watch them, you know, hoist the cup and get the medals, I'm sitting there going, geez, our team's so much better than these guys.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have to think about that.
Behind the scenes, the trade wars have begun. West Coast still holding the ultimate collateral, with North and the Hawks eyeing off their #1 pick.
We're probably leaning towards keeping the pick and using it at the draft.
It didn't take long for the first deal to be struck, the Bulldogs collecting pick 4 off the Suns in exchange for 3 first-round selections over the next 2 years. The Suns hoping new coach Damien Hardwick can nurture upcoming talent, denying he'll target Richmond players for a move up north.
It'll be whoever suits Damien, so it doesn't really matter which club they come from, it's whatever suits our list.
The Tigers are adamant Ruck Ivan Soldo will stay put, despite interest from Port Adelaide. Esava Radigalia also keen to make the move to SA, but the Cats won't let him go easily.
We've invested a lot into him, 25 years of age, key position, so it's up to them to work through what he's worth.
Laura Spurway, 7 News.
To the Swimming World Cup, and a strong contender is emerging in Hobart's Max Giuliani, the 20-year-old making his debut on the world stage in Berlin overnight, advancing to the 200-metre freestyle final in the first of 3 legs of the Cup, finishing less than half a second behind Lithuanian Danas Rapsis to take silver. Max has a chance to go one better next week in Athens. Our men's and women's hockey sides will fly into the nation's capital, hungry for a win after narrow defeats in the Hockey One opening round. There are positive signs though. Goalkeeper Evie Dalton successfully defending 13 penalty corners in the women's 0-1 loss to Melbourne. Australia's bid for a 6th Cricket World Cup is off to a rough start in India. A 6-wicket hiding by the hosts in Chennai has alarm bells ringing with a struggling middle order and lack of spin options.
Steamy Chennai with the 5-time World Cup kings versus hosts and favourites. Despite losing Mitch Marsh for a duck,
a lovely catch there by Virat Kohli.
It was going okay. David Warner 41, Steve Smith,
glorious
sweaty work for his 46 before India's spinners ripped through Australia. Warner caught and bowled Kuldeep. Smith bowled Jadeja.
Beautiful.
Even he couldn't get a bat on that one. 3 for 3 in 10 balls for Jadeja. Australia 2 for 110 to all out for 199. Yeah! 6 wickets to India's 3 spinners. There's only one specialist in Australia's 15-man squad.
Look, you know, we had them 3 for none basically with our quick bowlers.
Stark and Hazelwood firing. India 3 for 2, should have been 4 for 20 with Virat Kohli on 12. Marsh reverted to his junior footy days. Kohli went on to 85, KL Rahul 97 not out, no wickets for Aussie spinners. Now 6 losses from their past 7 in a 10-team tournament where it's top 4 or go home.
It's only 1 game out of 9, so we won't dwell on it too much, but there are some areas we need to get better at.
Next, a rampant South Africa on Thursday. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
The Wallabies have officially bombed out of the Rugby World Cup in the pool stage for the first time, but came painfully close to being saved by miracle. Needing Portugal to upset Fiji by at least 8 points and keep them under 4 tries, Portugal pulled off their first World Cup win, but it was only 24-23. Fiji advanced to a quarter-final against England, courtesy of their earlier win over the Wallabies. Argentina will face Wales in the last 8, knocking out Japan 39-27. Shane van Gisbergen's 3rd Bathurst 1000 crown might just be his favourite. Co-driver and close mate Richie Stanaway gave the sport away in 2019 before returning in last year's great race. Convinced to partner the NASCAR-bound champ this year proved a career highlight for both.
Like it's just my whole life's been building up to yesterday, so yeah, it feels very surreal. Those moments after the race when you realise what you've accomplished and then who you've done it with.
The first Kiwi duo to win since Greg Murphy and Stephen Richards in 1999. At the Qatar Grand Prix, a first corner disaster for Mercedes.
Lewis Hamilton trying to get past his teammate George Russell, and the 2 Mercedes have taken each other out.
Hamilton's race ended early. Oscar Piastri stayed out of trouble, the Aussie rookie backing up his sprint race win with 2nd, his first result in a full F1 race.
Second and third for the team is an amazing result. It's been an amazing weekend in general.
There was no stopping Max Verstappen, the triple world champion, winning his 14th race of the year. Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham remain on top of the Premier League after Manchester City's second straight loss. The VAR was heavily criticised yet again after Mateo Kovacic avoided a red card despite two studs-up challenges. Arsenal defeated the champions 1-0.
Martinelli's deflected it off Nathan Ake!
And Spurs in fourth after a 2-2 draw at Brighton. Gai Waterhouse is yet to win an Everest but has two chances in the prestigious race at Randwick on Saturday. Mare Alcohol Free, purchased by breeding giant Yulong for $10.6 million at auction last year, snaring the final spot in the elite 12-horse field today. Racing's First Lady also has Hawaii 5-0 in the $20 million sprint.
I think we've got a fabulous chance. Hawaii 5-0 is a very lightly raced horse. He's a colt. He's come right at the right time. He's big.
Hawaii 5-0 ran a close second to one of the favourites, Think It Over, last start. And that's all in sport tonight. Kim, thanks very much for having me. I'll see you tomorrow.
OK, thank you, Nick. Great to have you on board. Well, Merv will join us after the break with the weather forecast.
It's not women's sport, it's sport.
And it's growing every single day. We've got the passion, the drive, the will to win. We are the Aussie cricket team.
And this is what we're about.
The Aussies take on the West Indies live and free, Saturday on 7 Mate.
It's not the colour of your skin, but the content of your character that matters. Don't divide Australia with racial laws. Vote no.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for Mineralogy Proprietary Limited, Brisbane.
Right now, when you join St Luke's Health, you'll get a free IGA Tasmania gift card worth up to a healthy $500. So you can join now, shop now with St Luke's Health.
This isn't just a kitchen, and it's not just a place to cook. It's where families come together and great moments happen.
And for a limited time, you'll receive a luxury kitchen upgrade when you purchase a new home. Visit a display home today.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice, call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
The Rosetta Group incorporates plumbing, hydronic heating, gas fitting and air conditioning. Rosetta Group has moved into Tasmania's first and brand new hydronic heating showroom at 30 Chapel Street, Glenorchy. Visit our showroom, open Monday through Friday.
More fires will burn, more floods will rise. So the Fire Service and the SES are formally uniting to protect us all, because we're stronger together. Authorised by the Tasmanian Government, Hobart.
Billy's Burgers and Bar on Hobart Waterfront. Locally sourced produce bringing you the real taste of what Tasmania has to offer. Great views and great meals that all the family can enjoy. Visit shoptasmania.com.au for exclusive deals from Billy's Burgers. Shop local, buy local, support local.
We're standing up for our right to be lazy.
We work hard. We deserve to scroll hard.
You've earned your lazy moments. It's the comfort sale with 25% off all Lazy Boy. Lazy Boy, long live the lazy.
The Voice will give better advice on ways to reduce infant mortality and suicide rates. It won't make anyone's life worse, but your yes vote will mean a better Australia.
Authorised eParkin, Australians for Indigenous Constitutional Recognition Limited, Sydney.
If you see or experience something that doesn't feel right, there are people you can talk to, but it's important that you tell someone.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by Global Poly Water Tanks and their Super Spring Sale.
Yodel for a global today.
Good evening. Hobart, 18 degrees today. Launceston and Devonport on our high of 20 and Burnie reached 17. Close to average temperatures today apart from the west where it was cooler than normal. Bushy Park and Friendly Beaches 18. Wynyard, Lowhead and Grove 17. St Helens 16. The Bass Strait Islands 14. Strawn just 12 and Lyowini our low with -3 to start the day. Apart from the few showers over the west and far south, the fine sunny conditions continued over the north and east of the state. Some low cloud extended through Bass Strait to the Victorian coast. Some thunderstorms were brewing over northwestern New South Wales and southwest Queensland. Tomorrow the high makes a move, a slow one over our region, being pushed along by a cold front that will be here with some rain on Thursday. The winds tomorrow 5 to 15 knots from the southwest, tending variable during the day before swinging around to the northwest at 20 knots by evening. Hobart tomorrow a top of 16 and cloudy, 15 the top for Adventure Bay, maybe a shower, and Tarraleah partly cloudy, 15 the maximum after 2 to start the day. 6 to 18 the range for Launceston, partly cloudy, Devonport a top of 17, 5 overnight for Bridport, a top of 16 tomorrow. Burnie expecting 15 and mostly sunny, a possible shower though for Strawn, 15 the top, 15 also for Marrawar. St Helens tomorrow a high of 16 degrees, Swansea 16 and Whitemark on Flinders Island 16. On Wednesday a fine start before light showers develop late evening over the west, and as mentioned showers should extend across the state on Thursday with that cold front, and more isolated showers on Friday, more frequent over the west, so not much falling in the east where it's desperately needed at the moment. Further north and partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, a sunny 26 in Adelaide, 17 in Melbourne with some cloud cover there, 22 the top in Sydney and a fine sunny 27 for Brisbane. Cloudy conditions in Hobart, it's 12 at the moment, 17 in Launceston, 15 right now in Devonport. And what about that, Kim? Brand new sports presenter Nick Kelly has joined our gang. I don't know if we're going to get on though. He doesn't go for the Sydney Swans, he doesn't go for the New South Wales Blues in Rugby League, he doesn't go for Liverpool in the EPL, but we do have one thing in common, we're both voting yes for the Tassie AFL side.
I wondered where you were going to leave that one. Thank you, Merv. And that is all your news for now. We'll have news, sport and weather updates throughout the evening. But for now, it is good night.